Okay, so do we have passports?
Yes.
Is the camera bag packed? Well, minus the camera that I'm holding.
Yes.
You got your Linzess and your fludrocortisone?
Linzess, fludrocortisone, Benadryl, salt packets.
And deodorant. Seems like we're good to go.
So Robert and I are going to Japan. I'm very excited, but also kind of nervous, which I think is understandable. I mean, it's a country that I've never been to before, that Robert's never been to before, where there's going to be a language barrier and a lot of new things. So I think that that's very understandable. So I have only been out of the country twice in my life, and both of those times I don't really remember it. I went out of the country when I was really, really little, about 3 years old, to my mom to see where she grew up. She grew up near Kenya, so we were in Africa, and that was when I was 3. And then when I was 14, my parents and I went to the British Virgin Islands, and we sailed around in a boat for a week. But I don't remember the trip to Africa because I was very little. I don't remember the boat trip very well because at that time my eating disorder was really bad and my OCD was really bad, and I was just very consumed with staying clean and eating foods that were safe to me. So that trip is just a blur of being very stressed about the fact that I wasn't at home in my normal routines with my normal cleanliness activities that I did every day. My first big trip that I took after improving with my OCD and my other mental health struggles was not until after Robert and I got married. I was super nervous about our trip, our honeymoon to Hawaii, which we took in 2021 in July, right after we got married. We literally got married, got back to Robert's apartment, which was then now our apartment, at midnight, packed up our stuff and made it to the airport at 4 a.m. to leave for our trip to Hawaii. And the trip to Hawaii was a lot funner than I thought it was going to be. It was not as stressful as I thought. And one of the main reasons as to why it wasn't as stressful as I was afraid it was going to be was because Robert was there with me and he knows me very well. Not as well 2 years ago as he knows me now, since we've been living together and being married for 2 years since when we first got married. But I knew that he'd planned the trip out, and then if I got stressed or anything bad happened, that he would be there to help take care of it, help take care of me, and everything would be okay. I was right. I mean, nothing bad has ever really happened traveling with Robert because he's always handled things. So I definitely wouldn't want to go to Japan or travel anywhere on my own. The main reason I'm comfortable going to Japan now is I know Robert's going to be with me and he plans it all, and I know it's going to be good. At this stage in my life, I've made so much progress with the issues that I struggled with as a younger person. You know, the OCD. Obviously, I still have OCD, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was. It's nowhere near as debilitating to my life as it was. You know, my life is much more open than it was when it was at its worst. And then obviously I've overcome my eating disorder and all of that stuff, but now I have this whole new slew of physical health issues. That's where my main anxiety comes when thinking about, okay, it's going to be 2 weeks away from home. We're going to be being a lot more physically active than we normally are. We're going to be in the heat, and it does make me nervous. Is my dysautonomia going to flare up with all that time in the heat walking around? Am I going to feel weak? I'm also really nervous about my nausea and vomiting because I know that, you know, when I'm home, I mostly do a blended liquid diet, and that's the best diet for me with my gastroparesis and my other GI issues. But when we're in Japan and on travel days, like, I'm not going to be sticking to a liquid blended diet. I'm going to be experiencing what we're doing, and I'm gonna eat new foods, and I want to experience this trip to the fullest extent. I don't want my illness to define it completely. So I foresee that I will definitely be eating some things that will make me throw up, and I'm very nervous about that because I don't want that to happen in any sort of embarrassing way or for it to happen in public. So I'm just very nervous about that. That is a bummer, but I don't know. I feel as though my conditions, we're finding out how to manage them more effectively constantly the more we find out about what's wrong with me. So I'm hoping that given the medications I have and the salt intake issue that I've figured out and all that I won't have too many health problems while we're in Japan. I'm hoping that I'll be able to just enjoy it and deal with symptoms the way I normally do at home. Just kind of power through and have a positive attitude is my hope. And distraction also really helps with my nausea and pain, just having things to get my mind off of it. So I think being in a new environment where there's a lot of stuff to focus on and new things to talk about and look at with Robert, that it should help distract from my GI pain and nausea and other issues. So that should be good too. I hope to get so much out of this trip. I think I'm more excited for this trip than any trip that I've ever been on in my life. I've never been on a trip as, an adult that's been this long. And we're going to be gone for 2 weeks, which is a really long vacation. It's a really long break from regular life, regular monotony, regular stress. And it's going to be something totally new. I mean, our last 2 vacations were in the United States. I'm excited about that too.
So I'm really excited to be going to Japan. It's something I've thought about doing my entire life. Even a couple of my friends from high school have kind of permanently relocated to Japan. Japan has so strongly influenced my understanding of history and my favorite examples of pop culture, whether that's from like video games or anime, or I also had a kind of deep fascination with the nuclear history of the world and World War II and the Cold War. So I'm excited to see all these areas of cultural significance, whether that's modern World War II era or ancient kind of history. So I'm really excited to see all the sites, try all the food, do all the things, see where some of my friends live, and kind of imagine what my day-to-day life would be there if I were living their lives. And it's very exciting, but I think it's going to be a challenge getting around and figuring things out, and I don't want to, gaijin smash my way through Japan and break laws I don't even know I'm breaking. So that's, one part of it.
So the saga of me not wearing my yukata correctly continues, because as soon as I got into the hotel, the man at the front was like, yukata, other way. I cannot tell my right from my left very well, and I know the left side was to be on top, and I keep trying to put the left side on top, but I keep apparently not doing it. So yeah, I'm just a yukata failure, I guess.
And the second aspect of it is I do worry about Linnea. She's probably mentioned the honeymoon at some point during this whole interview. Back then, we were able to hike a couple miles uphill on a mountain involving free rock climbing.
So Robert and I are on a literal mountain ridge here. There's sort of imminent death on either side of us. There's the ridge we just walked up.
And she took it like a champ. And then this past summer, we had to push her around in a wheelchair in Walt Disney World because her heat tolerance and lightheadedness, nausea had peaked to a point where she wasn't able to keep up physically. So I am worried about how well she's gonna be able to manage the physical demands of traveling this much and doing the amount of hiking and backpacking we're gonna be doing. But I'm sure she's gonna pull through, and I will find a way to make it work. I've done so much planning for this trip. I don't have exact schedules for every day of the trip, but I have a mental list of activities and things we can attend or do, whether that's temples or historical sites or shopping, food. I have a mental kind of checklist of everything I want to get through. I'm actually most excited about onsen hopping in some of these places. So onsen number 2 was too hot for me. I personally thought onsen number 3 was at a good temperature. As a kid, we went to a lot of medical conferences with my dad, and sometimes they were in really boring places, and the best part of those trips would be hotels with a pool and a hot tub. And apparently there were ryokans in Japan built around onsens, which are natural hot springs, and it's literally just a hot tubbing vacation. So there's a couple things like that are very exciting. Like I said, I'm very excited to visit historical sites like the Kiyomizu-dera in Kyoto or Itsukashima Shrine on Miyajima Island outside of Hiroshima, which have been the inspiration for many sites and movies, video games. I'm excited to visit Hiroshima and kind of get a sense of its significance to World War II. Japan has had such a strong influence on the stuff I learned growing up and the stuff I enjoy culture-wise, and I just want to actually be there and experience it. I'm just very excited about our journey to Japan. Hopefully Linnea doesn't get too much anxiety abroad.